Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to our big second episode of Fans of S.H.I.E.L.D., diving into all things Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., specifically this week, but we're going to expand out not only on the journey so far, but of course always our expectations on where we think things are going. Joining me, as he did last week, the master of Westeros history, Mr. Don Willie.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Listen, glad again to be here. Thank you for having me, D. And yeah, let's just have a hell of a show.
Wondrous. And of course, in the center column right there, recently returned to us from the terrors of Chronicoms prison, it's Mr. Rob Stone.
Yeah, I think Enoch must have gotten my laptop to get worked on, fixed real quick with Geek Squad, because getting it here today is like, I did not think it was coming today. I thought I was going to have to wait till Monday to get it back. And then even then, I thought it's going to take me even longer to get everything back. But no, it's great to be here. I'm so glad that I'm here. It sucked that I missed last week. I had to do a lot of catching up, but let's do some Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because this is an awesome season so far.
Cannot agree with you more. Also want to welcome in the chat, Chicken Bake 228. Welcome for joining us live. We're going to be taking some of the questions a little bit later on, so please be sure to put those down in the chat. Well, actually, always nice to do a little catch up recently on what has happened lately, because Rob was not able to join us last week with our premiere episode, and I know he's definitely got a few thoughts that he wants to share with last week. I figured it would be a perfect way to sort of catch us up on where we are. So Rob, why don't you let us know what you thought about episode 1 and the return of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, it was great, and it really feels like a special final season. Some shows, like I was thinking while I was watching this, the first thing I thought of, the first show that had a final season like that reminded me of this was, and I know it's probably just me, but it was the last season of Angel, where they had this real crazy shift in the storyline where it was like they're working with the bad guys to get things done, and by the end of it, they're like, basically, it was like almost like not fan service, but like there were no more rules. And by the end of it, in typical Joss Whedon fashion, everybody, both sides get blood spilled on the floor. And I just really like, especially with like the return of Coulson as an LMD, kind of like I thought he was kind of like Spike showing up at the beginning of the last season of Angel, where he's just like, here's this person again. Like, I don't know. I got those vibes from it. Deke is continuing to become a better character to me. I've brought this up before. Jeff Ward is doing an incredible job. Simmons, Henstridge, man, she's not messing around anymore. Some of the stuff she was doing in that first episode with the Chronicom head, amazing. She was not messing around. And I love the fact that they're bringing up that we don't know how long she's been out there. And Enoch did not give a date either. Patton Oswalt coming back. I loved that so much. Is he named after Walter Koenig? Is his character named after Walter Koenig, do you think? From Star Trek?
I would probably guess. I mean, it's just not that common of a name, so I'm sure that there's little references to. I haven't really thought about that, but yeah, that would totally make sense.
I like the whole 30s life style that they were doing in these 2 episodes. I really felt like a lot of what they were talking about and what we were seeing is so reflective of what's going on today. Mac is in charge, and I didn't know how I was going to feel about that, but I love it because he's learned so much from Coulson over all these years. And now he's in charge, and I like that at the moments that he needs to, he's reminding them, I'm in charge. And I did not know if I like it, and I love it. May, that whole thing with May right now, I think that's just going to have to be a wait and see kind of thing. But all in all, I really dug it. I thought that it was an amazing way to start off a final season where I really feel like everybody's got so many ideas of what's going to happen that I think they're still going to surprise us quite a bit by the end of this. And while I hate to say it, I don't think all of our agents are making out of it this time. But if you think about like how Joss Whedon shows usually end, or Jed Whedon, his brother, I don't think we're going to see. I think by like the last few episodes, I think we're going to see some real crazy stuff. But I don't like to say who I think is going to die because, again, like other Whedon shows, when you think you've got it pegged, you're wrong, and he'll flip it. They'll flip it on you real quick, and that's something that this show has done since season one. As even if you didn't like all the seasons, they've always been able to pull the rug out from under us, and I think we're going to see so much of that this year. And even though this, like you said in your review for this episode, it is more by the numbers, I think that this is probably going to be just that little blip where after this, it's going to be all like, just like season 6. Almost all of them, it took a little bit to get going, and once it got into full steam, it was like a movie, one long movie that you could just watch. And that's it. I'm sorry, I was rambling.
That's all right. And you kind of brought us right into this episode as well. So that was sort of a perfect transition. Don, what about yourself? What was your opinion on this week's episode?
Pretty strong episode, obviously built off of last week. We got the whole Freddy thing with them figuring out who he was, and the funny thing of one team figuring it out, before the other one, and the vial, and just oh man, it was a lot to process, but I think they set everything up pretty well. We were speculating last week as to what was in the vial, thinking, oh well, it might be a little too early for super soldier serum, but this is a prototype, years in the making. Yeah, I mean, the whole Koenig thing, Enoch getting stuck, stuck there. I mean, that was in the previews, but we really couldn't see who that was or what it, what the reference was before. And now Gemma, smart as always, with Koenig, with his kind of chauvinistic talk. He's like, I'm not a dame, I'm a doctor. Yeah, and of course, Daisy trying to throw a monkey wrench in the works. Like, hey, they said, look, we need Freddy to become Hydra in order to, have S.H.I.E.L.D. exist. And I think she was forgetting all about all of the things that would not have happened had there been no S.H.I.E.L.D. So, yeah, Daisy, you got some splaining to do. And also, we got the return of May, but she seemed way different. Enoch, in fact, said he thinks she's damaged or malfunctioning. Yes, he thinks she's malfunctioning. And who definitely is, though, malfunctioning is Yo-Yo, because she definitely should have caught that bottle.
Yeah, agreed. Well, that's awesome because you guys are hitting all on kind of the big points. I did want to dive in a little bit deeper, and now that we have the time to discuss this. And first off is exactly the point that you brought up with Daisy. It seemed last week we were very insistent on setting up the ripples, not waves theory of approaching towards history. Do things cautiously, as long as you don't make any big changes, no big deal. And then this week, they really seem to just toss those rules right out the window. We've got Deke pulling up the radio right in front of Freddy, waving it around. We've got all of the big discussions of Chronicoms and time travel and everything like that happening right in front of Koenig. We have Daisy just going off. which what I found funny, to Deke, the one who said, yeah, nothing big, and then convinces him to basically kill Hitler before Hitler rises to power. In this case, of course, Freddy, before he is able to pass the vial of pre-super soldier serum, the kind that actually will create the Red Skull, which, I mean, I like a little MCU kind of connection in this. But it was kind of a crazy approach to spend so much time very specifically talking about the rules of time travel and then throwing them out the window. Is this what we're going to expect for the rest of the season? Is this will they, won't they, are going to do that? Are they not going to do that? Despite, I think, Coulson's very clear statement of, you don't know if something worse is going to rise up in their place. So, yeah, Don, what do you think about that kind of to heck with the rules of time travel?
I mean, well, there's been a lot of speculation as to whether or not this season is going to wrap up with it connecting back to the MCU and kind of leaving off either at the end of Endgame or beginning of Infinity War again. I mean, or the end of Infinity War again. It's been a lot speculated with that, and obviously that's where the show kind of started, with it being very connected to the MCU, but they decided later on to do their own thing. So, I mean, listen, as much as I would like for it to happen, it may not be possible. But I'm hoping. Look, you got to think about it. These guys finished this last year, right? They finished it last year. They sat on it. They knew it was coming out this year. So I'm pretty sure that whatever they have in store, they thought about it, and we haven't heard about reshoots or anything. That doesn't mean it didn't happen, but
True.
Again, they kept the show on longer than it was supposed to be, a whole 2 extra seasons. So there's got to be something, and I think it's going to be something spectacular. What it is, I'm at this point, I'm at a loss for words. I'm not even sure I can speculate. It's that crazy.
But so what I'm saying is, you kind of feel that they might actually use this kind of massaging of history in order to basically reinsert themselves potentially back into the MCU at some point, where the show had sort of diverged over the seasons. Here they can make a few things and open a window to bring it right back in, say between Infinity War and Endgame, post blip, pre-blip. God, I hate that term, blip. So kind of that sort of idea. Is that what you're kind of thinking along those lines?
Yeah, that's definitely what I'm thinking.
Okay, because that would be awesome. I'll be with that. What about you, Rob? How do you feel about the sort of a cavalier approach towards messing with time that the team seems to, or at least inconsistent approach towards time?
As we were talking about it, as Don was mentioning, I just suddenly popped in my head is like, these episodes are probably written by 2 different people, because you know what I mean? Like, or it was like, that person was like, yeah, we're laying them, here's the groundwork, we've got to do this, we can't do this. And everybody seemed to be on board. Nobody really seemed to be kicking up too much of a fuss. And then this episode comes, and the way that they wrote Daisy in this episode is just like, it reminded me of old Daisy. She's been a lot more of a team player and a lot less of a loose cannon than she used to be. And this just felt like season 1, 2, 3 Daisy, where she was very impulsive and did not think a lot of things through, and didn't trust the people around her enough to know that they sometimes, just because they're older than you, they know things better than you. Like, she's the young, rash, brash, wants to help everyone, but doesn't always think of the consequences. So I feel like it's kind of a reversion. Is that the right word? Reversion?
Yeah, reversion. No, you're right.
Of going back to a way that she used to be. because the whole just kill him, don't worry about it. Like
it certainly. I was gonna say it certainly reinforces the choice to put Mac in charge versus Daisy, since he is the one that seems to keep the very cool head despite all the challenges on him.
Yeah. She almost got Deke to, I don't know if she knew, she knows how Deke feels about her. I don't know if she thought that he'd be easily manipulated in that situation. But I think she really was. I don't know if she's thinking, like Don was saying, that she wasn't thinking of the consequences. I almost think she didn't care about the consequences. That like, if we stop existing, we are heroes and nobody will know about it, but we did it. I think there's an argument to be said for that, because she's always about saving everybody. And the only problem I had with that was also she wasn't giving anybody else a choice. She was making it for everyone. So thankfully, the writer pulled back on that and let and had something happen so that was taken out of their hands. But then like she gets all uppity about that, like just kill him. We got the chance. But then she gets mad about Koenig, finding out things when we know who he is and who he's going to be. It's like, this is literally the introduction of this character and his whole family to S.H.I.E.L.D. saying that, well, this is where he got in. But they have her write that part for her to have a problem with that. So she doesn't have a problem killing Gideon or Gideon's dad, but she had a problem with Patton Oswalt hanging around. I just don't understand that. Like when one is obvious.
Yeah.
So.
Excellent. Also, I just want to take a moment to welcome some new people in with the chat. Been here a while. Devra, welcome. Kevin Waters, awesome to have you here. Janucci, 123, hello. And Devontae Smith, always great to have you here. Damn, this is awesome. So many awesome people here in the chat. And it's interesting. You kind of laid right into a real kind of funny point that one thing with time travel, they always kind of do the thing with like, it gets into some interesting chicken and egg ideas. Is by messing with something, do you cause the thing to happen that you want? By pushing Freddy so much, did they get him to commit to this vision of Hydra? Obviously with Koenig, we can see why the family is so ingratiated and so connected in with S.H.I.E.L.D. It's almost a foundation, literally from the beginning, getting clued in by the alien robot from the future. So in some ways, and I kind of liked how they in fact sort of balanced that out with a sort of a yin and yang approach, is you had sort of, yes, a villain was created, but a hero was as well. Yes, you allowed the birthing of Hydra to happen, but you also really laid the foundations for what would become S.H.I.E.L.D. and a major family player through that. So I don't know. I agree. It was very odd that they just went completely off on the whole time travel rules. But I do appreciate they at least sort of gave the idea that if you mess with time, maybe you always messed with time. Maybe you were the ones that made this happen and it wasn't going to if you weren't there. So I think it gives some interesting storytelling approaches that they could at least do perhaps throughout the rest of the season. Okay, before we go on, I want to check and see if there's any big questions in with the chat here. Shake and Bake asks, some real Terminator Lost time travel stuff going on where they're causing things that have already happened in the future. Yeah, exactly what we're getting into right here. Let's see. Kevin agrees totally with Don. Network and others wanted to cancel the series after season 5. Disney insisted they get 2 more seasons. Gotta be a reason for that, I think. So yes, I think we would all love for that to go in that direction. I'm still pushing for a Disney Plus series in the background, but Devontae's agreeing with Rob here. Daisy was always impulsive in seasons 4, 5, and 6 as well. Yes. And Dom, Coulson knew what he was doing when he chose Mac to be the director. So Yeah, I think we're all kind of on the same lines here. All right, well let's go on to Agent May, because personally, I don't really like what they're doing with May. They gave it a real sort of interesting point with her kind of being dead and Coulson coming back and how they were going to do it. And to me, this kind of malfunctioning, almost sociopathic, non-emotional May is, I don't know. It's like, did they, in order to avoid having the relationship discussion, they just make the relationship impossible? I don't know. It feels kind of undercutting. I don't know, but it's sort of like the same thing. I mean, they sort of took away. I mean, May still has her superpowers and the fact that she can still kick butt even against a Chronicom that has upgraded Slayer technology or programming. But they've also taken away Yo-Yo's powers as well. So you have May is undercut. Gemma doesn't have fits. Daisy doesn't use her powers that much. Yo-Yo seems to be unable to use their powers. So I don't know. Do you guys feel that they're handicapping characters to give them additional arcs? Do you like the choices that they're making? Yeah, Don, let's jump back to you on that. What do you think? What do you think is going on with May, with Yo-Yo, and sort of kind of these knee cutting decisions that are going on?
Are you talking about the term Maynator? Yeah,
we can. I have no problem with that.
I mean, because basically that's kind of the way that she was coming off. It was like, no, I'm here to do the job, and there's nothing that's going to stop me. And it was like, had she not seen Robo Coulson, she was going to go and wreck time. And she seemed pretty pissed off at the fact that there was an LMD Coulson. When he gets home, he's like, May, he was like, aren't you surprised I was dead? And he's like, you still are. I'm like, ooh. I'm like, that one's gotta hurt.
That was a mic drop moment.
And the thing about it is, it's like, all right, I know she wants to be in the fight. She's the cavalry, but it's kind of like, why does she want to be there so badly that she's willing to break the rules? Like, what is her major malfunction at this point? And she willingly was like, all right, well, fine. With the way things are going, let's put me back in the damn tank. So hopefully by next episode we'll get some sort of reasoning behind why she's this kind of cold, emotionless. I mean, like, she's even more emotionless than she was in season 1. And season 1 May, you know what she was like. So between that and Yo-Yo, I don't like that. Like, again, she should have caught that bottle. I don't know what kind of triggered her to where she just couldn't even move, but yeah, this is not the Yo-Yo that we're used to. And it seems as though the writers may have been handicapping some characters to set up future, or to set up I guess more of a triumph at the end, where they have to rediscover who they are in order to save the world one last time. Daisy, with not using the powers, I mean, again, look, she's in 1931. There's still a part of her that wants to be that good agent, and ripples, not waves. But they haven't really, she was supposed to have her powers upgraded after season 5, and we really haven't seen. I mean, other than the thing with the strike, we haven't really seen the full extent of what her powers can do. So hopefully they're just like, look, right now she just can't go around, tossing her powers out there, because you never know who sees what and what that might possibly change. So I have no problem with them kind of kind of backing her down just a little bit so that she's not all, just wrecking buildings at this particular point. I mean, I'm hoping that she can do that, but hopefully, there's a reason behind it. And listen, I have faith in the Shield writers. I think that they'll get this one right.
Okay, fair enough. Going more of the subtle approach on for Daisy there. Okay, I can sort of get that. Rob, you were definitely agreeing with a lot of points right there. What are your thoughts on the May situation, Yo-Yo, any of those particular realms?
Well, first, just quickly, I don't really feel like Daisy's too handicapped because she's already really capable as a hand-to-hand fighter anyway.
That's
so
true.
It's a way to save on the budget and have a character that's capable and has power so that you can use them when they're needed for the script and not just for, flashy sake. And so kind of handicapping her really it saves the budget, and you're still going to get kick-ass fight scenes with Chloe Bennett, which I do think I think we're going to see an epic fight between her and May at some point this season. I think I don't know if it'll snap her out of it or what. But speaking of, I know the Chronicoms don't like being called robots, but we got already too many robots in this show. We got all the Chronicoms, we got Enoch, we got Coulson now, and the whole conversation with Koenig and his background in robotics. He brings it up at the end. He wants to know about robots, and then we got May acting like a robot too. And it's like we need her. I think this. Look, they did it. They wrote it. They're not going to change it. We can't change it at this point. But I feel like she should have been written as like the person who's going to keep everybody together. Because right now, like if you think about how quickly between 6 and 7, all this stuff for a lot of these characters has been happening, they're all so discombobulated. They're barely a team. Mac is a great leader, but he's still trying to rein everybody in. Everybody's still doing their own thing. Without Coulson, they haven't been able to be cohesive. And so, May really should have been that character to help Mac rein everybody in. Yo-Yo, on the other hand, she should have caught, the first time she didn't do something and she had a problem with the arms at first, I was fine with that. She didn't catch the bottle. I was sitting there waiting for her to catch the bottle. She didn't do it. And I thought, okay, at the end of the episode, and I'm assuming spoilers, everybody, if you haven't seen the whole episode, I thought when the door was closing that was when we were going to get that Yo-Yo moment. She was going to grab Enoch and pull him in at the last second, and everybody was going to cheer. And instead, I sat there going, she's going to do it. This is where she's going to. Nothing happened. Now, I mean, I know that Enoch, it still sets up something fun for him to do, wait around for a decade or so, or however long it's going to take for him to catch up with the rest of the team, because he won't age. And it gives him a chance to set everything up with Koenig's character and S.H.I.E.L.D. and the beginnings of that, and probably where some of their technology came from, things like that. Because if you got a Chronicom on your side at the beginning of S.H.I.E.L.D., and maybe he doesn't tell anybody, maybe Koenig and him work secretly, I don't know. But I'm not starting to speculate. But the thing with Yo-Yo, I don't really know. Like Don said, I think it's a setup for just her finding herself. And like a lot of shows, I think the whole thing has to fall apart to come back together. It's a trope, it's a cliche, but they write these kind of tropes and cliches really well. Like if you're going to do a cliche, do it right. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. does these tropes, does these cliches fantastically. And so I think that something's going to happen with Yo-Yo and Mac to bring her back around, because we got to get Yo-Yo and Mac back together at some point, somehow. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
I don't usually ship people. The only people on the show I usually ship is just Fitz and Simmons. But now watching this and seeing the character and the state she's in, they got to bring them back together. And I think that once they're back together, we'll see the old Yo-Yo. And I think there's going to have to be a lot of confrontational stuff within the group to get everybody back. So I think all these handicaps or whatever will be fixed eventually, hopefully sooner rather than later, though.
All right. Welcome, Frank, in the chat, just popping in. Wonderful. Well, we had a Devontae in the question asked, kind of a pertinent here with the yo-yo. Is she asked, isn't Yo-Yo scared she may hurt herself because of the last time she got new arms and used her powers for the first time? Which is what you were talking about right there, Rob. When she had the new hardware, she was concerned. Actually, it didn't sync with her system and wasn't allowing herself. It caused a whole lot of pain and stopped her and all of those things. So we know that obviously the tech was adjusted, and so these arms most likely are. So we do have that possible psychological comparison. They also did stay in the show that there was concern with the Shrike material could still be in her. Is that affecting that? And Gemma did mention that it was breaking down. So perhaps this is only a short-term kind of an idea. But I wonder if there is a certain psychological component to that she isn't trusting herself to do. And maybe that is something that working with Mac and everything will end up being, because I agree, the show is really good at working their arcs. And so I do have complete faith that they're going to end up getting this in a very satisfying way. I just found it kind of interesting is how they apparently kneecapped quite a few of the characters kind of right off the get-go. In sort of just unexpected ways. Let's see. There was also something else here in the chat that was brought up that I want to say. Yes. Okay. This was brought up. Kevin mentions it here in the chat, talking about how long that Gemma has been gone. Devontae, I think, mentioned that as well. We've got a few people. They seem to be very purposely evasive with talking about how long Gemma's been gone. I think last week she was just like a long time. Here we have Enoch talking about a considerable amount of time. It's starting to feel almost like a decade, a couple of decades. I mean, she's got the science. She can make herself look good for sure. But it's kind of an interesting area that they're really playing up the fact that Gemma really has been gone for a really long period of time. Let's play a game. How long do you think Gemma has been gone? Rob, give me your guess. How long has Gemma been gone?
Oh, gosh. She does look a little weathered. It doesn't look like they used any kind of aging stuff on her. I'd say about a decade.
Okay, good. 10 years. It's an even number right there. Right on. Don, how long do you think Gemma's been gone?
Long enough that she may be an LMD.
Ooh, that is an interesting out of left field choice.
That could be the shocker of all time. I mean, think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen Fitz at all. We have absolutely no idea where he is, right? And they just keep on saying that it's a while. It's been a while. It's been a while, and it's like, yeah, we're thinking, okay, maybe a few years, but I mean, like the way that they're keeping it so vague, and again, yeah, she doesn't look like she's aged a ton. Like, yeah, look, a lot of people between their 20s and 30s, depending on how well they kept themselves, don't really age that much, right? Depending on like between like I'd say, maybe 26 and 36, depending on how well you keep yourself up, you kind of look the same for a while there. But it's one of those things where this could be long enough that, she could have been the prototype for Coulson.
I really like that idea because, yeah, if it's a couple years, people say, oh, it's been a while. Oh, it's been years or something. People can relate with that. 5 years, 7 years even. When you start being evasive with this, a long time. Kevin Waters, 50 years. Devontae, Gemma, 100. So yeah, we got a few episodes. I think that's an excellent idea, Don. I really love that. I want to go with that. So we're gonna look at
Change my answer, please. Because I did not allow myself to go there, and he went. I didn't let my mind go there. And man, that's yeah. Like she's like, what if they find her and she's like the old lady from Titanic? Just like all these years later, they find her in a place with her and Fitz really old or something. I don't know, but yeah, that's man, that's a really good theory.
Yeah, no. I like that. You got the winner right there, Don. I'm going with that one.
Thank you,
Vincent Montemorano. Welcome to the chat. How do you think Fitz will play into this season? I don't care as long as we get him. Where's my Ian DeCastecker? You know, yeah, when they're going to have a serious, heavy story, they're going to bring him in to act the shit out of it. That's what they're going to do. But
Kevin brought up, it was Shake and Bake who brought up, do you think we're going to see Ward? And I say, absolutely, we're seeing Ward.
We should. I liked him popping up in the framework. I liked seeing the good version of Ward. That I think that would be a nice callback to the original team. I would go with that.
Because if they did a story where, what if they had a chance to, like, they won't eventually, but like maybe be in a situation where they could save Ward from himself early in his life.
Well,
put them in a situation where put him on a different path. They have to wrestle with that.
Yeah, well, in the framework, it was Hand that went and met him at jail and gave him the opportunity to work with S.H.I.E.L.D. It wasn't Bill Paxton's character. It wasn't Garrett who went back. So in the real world, Garrett was the one that met Ward at jail after he tried to set the house on fire and sucked him into Hydra in the guise of S.H.I.E.L.D. In the framework, it was Hand who went and met him and showed him the way to S.H.I.E.L.D. and turned him into the positive agent that he was in the framework. So yeah, that would be a real interesting point right there, where we could see that you could change Ward's path completely with this one little moment, and that would be kind of a cool thing to return to, I think.
Kevin was saying that he thinks he's done, but I mean, he's an actor that I don't see in a lot. His arc may be done, but I don't think we're done seeing him in at least a glorified cameo.
Oh no! If the show called him up and said, "Hey, can you come back and do an episode?" he'd be there in a heartbeat. I completely agree. And if they are going to take this time to sort of play with history, that would be a point where they could actually do something. If they see Ward, they can interact. It would be cool for them to change things in the background. Yeah, exactly, and in a subtle way. But yeah, there would be sort of an interesting way for them to sort of massage the future. But of course, how will that change things once Garrett comes up and Hydra? And I don't know. An interesting thought. See, the only other thing that I had here, of course, Enoch the bartender, but you already had sort of mentioned that, Rob. We've got Enoch now. If you're going to leave someone back in time, he's the guy to do it. Because like LMD Gemma, which is what I'm going to say now, he doesn't age. He can set all the framework for S.H.I.E.L.D. And it looks like the 60s. I was getting a big lot of right stuff feel from what they were talking about. So I think we're probably looking at the 60s here when they're coming in next episode. So what is that? That's 30 years for Enoch? What has Enoch been doing in those 30 years? Where do we find Enoch? Where is he once the team jumps back into the time stream?
Well, I don't know that he can actually be part of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I think that would be pretty conspicuous. You know, you got the guy who doesn't age and has this weird style of talking. But obviously somewhere in the background, kind of making sure that things still go according to plan. Him, Koenig, and maybe you got something with him introducing them to like Agent Carter and Daniel Souza, who Souza is going to be the next episode. Awesome. Yeah, so I think Enoch is still going to play a small part in the background, just kind of making sure that the pieces get shuffled into the right order, kind of on a invisible hand kind of level.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing major. I think he's definitely going to stick to the whole ripples, not waves kind of concept out of the whole thing. So yeah, I mean that's me. I don't know what you guys are thinking on him.
Well, and anthropology was his specialty. So he would probably know a lot of both human history and interaction. So it would be certainly an interesting job for him. Well, but I like that idea. I think you're kind of right of him just sort of being a background, maybe Koenig's assistant as he starts to rise or move things. What do you think, Rob? What's Enoch up to by the time that we run back into him in the 60s?
I think Don covered it pretty much perfectly. I mean, except that at some point he can't be around Shield, right? That's what he was saying. It's what you were saying. So he's the kind of character, and he's a Chronicom, so he's thinking in a different way than most people. I think he'll eventually just find a way off of Earth, maybe, or just maybe he's just some guy running a bar somewhere making perfect drinks with his onions. I don't know. Maybe he's in the real Tahiti making drinks.
He's rotating from Shield bar to Shield bar.
Right? Something. I think they're going to he's either going to have like a really sweet ending for his character, or it's going to be like, everybody go, I got this, self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
Kind of situation.
Which wouldn't be his first time.
I was about to say that's exactly how he sort of went out right there in the middle of 5. So, yeah,
he might see himself as being there. Like he might need to get rid of himself almost too. Like I can't still be here. This is my opportunity to prove to everybody that we're not all bad. That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. He's a perfect sacrificial lamb character. Even though I love him, so I love that actor. I love that character so much. He is my favorite addition to the show since he's been on. So.
Yeah, I think he's been a brilliant addition to the show. I love what he has done with the character. I mean, he just every little expression on him is just sort of perfectly timed and has that sort of nostalgia feel and 2 layers. Like he's saying this, but he's mistakenly making some phrase referring to that. So really a lot of depth with the characters. It's always so much fun.
He makes me think of Vision a bit.
Yeah, but a more interesting Vision, a more comical Vision, I think. Yeah. Okay. Let's see, Kevin, I think, or somebody made a comment here real quick. Frank, yeah. What if Fitz is gone? What if Gemma's calling Fitz is actually a computer? That's why no one is allowed to communicate with him. So if we're thinking LMD Gemma, is Fitz a computer, or is he like in some middle time field to? Yeah, we got to have a real Fitz. What was that, Rob?
He's on the poster, right? I think he's on the poster.
He is on the poster.
In the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's
I don't think there. Like everyone. But I mean, I don't think he's a computer. I think it'll be. I mean, that'd be crazy. But I don't think he's a computer. I think we're just gonna have. I hate that we haven't been introduced to him because it just leaves our imaginations up to too much speculation, and then nothing that they can actually do will reach the heights that we get to sometimes in these conversations. But I think when we first see him, it'll be just same old Fitz. But I think there'll be some secrets there where we'll see, like, is it really Fitz, or what we're seeing, is it really Fitz? That kind of thing. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very good.
Was he working on Overlord when they were doing season 7, and that's kind of why they wrote him off? Because this seems a little weird that that he would be away for so long.
They scanned his brain, and he and her couldn't be around each other, right? Because then the Chronicoms would know, they'd have all this information. Their separation was for safety, right?
Yeah, I
Right, but
thought
I mean, I'm trying to think of the real world reason as to
no, I thought the Overlord shoot was why he was late on season 5. Or
okay, yeah,
wasn't that why he wasn't there the first few episodes? Because they had changed when they were starting filming that season. They had pushed it forward, I think, because Inhumans collapsed. And so they wanted to, and so I think that they had to sort of push time because he wasn't done filming that. I think that's when he was doing Overlord. But yeah, I honestly, I don't know for sure. Any DeCast Decker fans in the chat know what was up with Ian that season? Nah. Well, throw it in the comments. We'll see if we get to it a little bit later. All right, so I think that covers all the big main stuff. Is there any last little points anybody wanted to hit on, or kind of expectations going forward? Try to check my notes, see if there's anything I've forgotten. Probably I'll remember it later.
I wanted to mention the bar scene where the Chronicoms come in to the speakeasy and they're hiding out. That scene reminded me straight up of Roger Rabbit. I was just waiting for Judge Doom to come in, man, because they were even behind the painting with the eyeballs out and everything. I was like, the bottle falls over, like in Roger Rabbit. I'm like, oh my gosh. So, but I thought that was I really liked that scene quite a bit. I thought it was a lot of fun, even though again it's a trope, it's a cliche, but they did it really well.
But that's one of those real nice moments that they've done, both with the title cards and the kind of old film noir sort of feel to it. To those eyes. I mean, those are like classic 30s mystery haunted house bits where you've got right behind the eyes and they're looking behind and they close up. So they're doing some great homages, I think, to these old styles.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? We haven't really talked about Deke, apparently.
Deke! Well, Deke's having kind of a... Look at it. Deke was just sort of that position of like, the guardian of time. What, cute Daisy? You want me to shoot this guy? Okay. But no, I agree. I love Deke. I love as him kind of the more down to earth, as more of the audience, character living in through S.H.I.E.L.D., just sort of getting used to it, seeing it from the different perspectives. I love what they've done with the character. I think Jeff's done a great job kind of giving him a life and a further dimension. What do you guys think of Deke?
I mean, he didn't really do much this episode.
Not that much,
but what he was about to do what he was about to do would have been very interesting if he had actually went forward with that, because he's like, Daisy ordered me to shoot him. Mac's like, hello, I'm the director. The hell do you mean so that was a pretty interesting thing right there, where you kind of had a conflict of interest where Deke wanted to listen to Daisy because she's Daisy, but it's like, the big man is standing right there, though. You don't necessarily disobey the orders of your chief when your chief is like literally right there. So, it was interesting that and plus him with the radio. Did they really not have walkie-talkies back then?
No, not. I don't think till. Well, no, because you had to have radio. Because you did have. You had radios, but I think they were just larger. Because obviously on ships and stuff, you had that. Planes, they have to have some level. They didn't through World War I. I'm not sure. I know by World War II they did. I am not sure when your citizens band communications were established from a portable standpoint. But you're right. It seemed to be some sort of communications would have gone in earlier. We're not history buffs, folks. We're just film nerds.
Hmm.
Well, I was not a fan of Deke. I wasn't a fan of a lot of season 5, to be honest with you. But as I'm rewatching, I'm liking things I didn't like before. So I'm hoping that when I rewatch season 5, I'll have a different opinion of him. But like I said, he's like the Charlie Kelly wild card of the show. I think he's the guy that you can basically turn to for the insane out of left field kind of thing. I also like that Max got his number right from jump in this. Like he's just like looks at him, and I kind of cringed because he said that he felt he was being profiled. Wasn't that what he said? Or like to when everybody kept coming at him, I was like, oh, Deke.
Yeah. Well, he can get away with it because he doesn't know anything.
He doesn't know. Yeah. He's being. But
you're right. Those are painful moments.
Yeah, he's. You know, like as soon as he said don't start any patents, I was like, oh, he's gonna make a patent. We might not find out about it right away or something, but I just feel like he's definitely like again, like he's like Don was saying, you know, he almost shot the guy just because Daisy said so. Thankfully he didn't. But and he didn't really get that much to do. I thought he definitely looked like he was having a lot of fun with the 30s way of speaking. I think he would have had a blast just staying there, honestly, because in his mind, he'd be thinking what Mac was already thinking, is that I could become the richest man in the world if I just stayed here.
Sure. And of course, society with the depression, that's very much where he got raised up. So he knows kind of how to work all those things. So agreed. You know, it's interesting because they do hit on so much as Deke is kind of the immature one. You know, you've got, you said Max sort of has his number even when he shows up with the truck, and Jim was like, you said low key, and he's like, there's two people here, why is everyone always looking at me? They're setting him up as the irresponsible, which means that by the end of this season he's going to have to do something super heavy responsible. I think, you know, they're going to have him end on that level of maturity, where he doesn't just sort of do things, you know, on reaction, but actually is able to weigh stuff. I think, you know, if we're seeing where they're setting up arcs and where they're going, I think that sort of makes the most sense for where we're going to see Deke go. Because, yeah, I like the guy. And he's certainly gotten much more enjoyable over the past couple seasons.
Yeah, kind of like Mike Seaver in the later seasons of Growing Pains.
Yeah, exactly. You're not sure the beginning. Yeah, and then, yeah. All right. Well, I think we'll just go ahead and wrap things up. I do want to take just a real brief moment. Obviously, we haven't gotten into it this week. We want to kind of be more of a lighthearted escape and enjoy some of our shows and just the expectations out of that. It's been a very heavy week. Like I said, I've mentioned little comments on my review. And I don't want to spend that much time with it. I just want to hope everyone's being safe and is looking out for each other. To me, these are the times where we have to all join together to protect one another and to do the thing that we know is right. And for some reason, still after all these years, have difficulty getting accomplished. So yeah, that's it. Anybody else want to throw something in there? Stay.
Yeah, listen, everyone stay safe out there. You know, look, the world is in chaos right now, but this is the time when we kind of need to band together and be strong. And yeah, I mean, look, man, as long as we all are operating in the spirit of love, I guess, then we'll all make it through this, you know, and we'll come out much better on the other side. You know, that's the thing that we as humans do. You know, we go through trial and tribulation, and we come out better on the other side. So, yeah, everybody out there, stay safe. You know, wherever you happen to be, and you know, fight the good fight, but don't let it consume you.
All right, perfect. So on that note, we're going to go ahead and say goodbye. Thank you, everyone in the chat, for joining us live. Not only do we love chatting about the show, it makes it so much more fun when you all join us, be part of it, ask your questions, respond. It's the last season. We want to make the most out of it. So, of course, we will be back, as always, next week, same time, right here to talk about next week's episode. So finally, Rob, where can people find you?
Well, right before I say, I just wanted to say on top of, to add,
yes,
just really quickly that to add to what you guys are saying is that we really have to take care of each other because it don't look like anybody else is coming to save us. And if we don't got each other, all of us together, then we're not. We're going to be struggling forever. We have to really put aside all of that crap and think about everyone, because this is a dangerous time, and I don't want to get too much into it because, again, we're trying to make this lighter. But take care of each other. I've been reaching out to family I haven't talked to in over 10 years just to make sure that they're okay. So if I can reach out to people that I don't really want to talk to, then everybody can do it. And we really just we're not that different. And if we can't get over that, then we're never gonna. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm starting to get emotional about it.
No, it should be.
We just
it's emotional.
Be good to each other. We can do better. We have to do better, and we can only do it together.
Right on, man. All right, so that's it. You can catch Dom over at Smirking Gun Reviews, or Rob over at Smirking Gun Reviews.
I'm at reviews_gun on Twitter, and Smirking Gun Reviews is my channel. I haven't been making content because I'm just got my laptop back, and I'm trying to learn some things. So, but there's always something for everybody on my channel. So yeah, check it out if you feel like it. Subscribe if you feel like it. Whatever. There's a lot more important things right now than my stupid YouTube channel.
Perspective's always important. That's true. Don Willie, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter currently at Don Willie. Don Willie spelled the same way as on the screen there. And hopefully I'm going to get back to actually making some videos on Game of Thrones, or at least Westeros, soon enough. But yeah, in the meantime, that's where you can find me. And also you can find me here every Friday, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Excellent. And of course, I'm Darren Jakes. This is my channel you are watching this on. I do reviews of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., of course, and Fridays hosting our live discussion here on Fans of S.H.I.E.L.D. And as always, at some point, there will be a season finale for Walking Dead. And I'll talk about that too. But that's going to be it. Thank you all so much for joining us live. If you're in the chat, thank you. Or if you're watching this in the archives, thank you so much for watching it then. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next week. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.